All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we are tackling a massive assumption in the business world right now. This idea that deploying generative AI tools is just going to automatically translate into team efficiency. I mean, we hear it constantly, right? AI is going to save us hours, it's going to automate all our workflows, and our productivity is just going to skyrocket. But as I'm sure a lot of you have already noticed in your own offices, the reality is a whole lot more complicated. So today, we're taking a really hard look at the AI productivity paradox, and we're going to diagnose a growing issue that researchers are now calling the workplace slop epidemic.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer to figure out what's draining our productivity. 1. The AI productivity paradox. 2. Defining the slop epidemic. 3. Work slop and team inefficiency. 4. Security risks and shovelware. 5. Evaluating AI output quality. And finally, 6. Actionable steps for managers.
All right, part 1, the AI productivity paradox, when artificial intelligence creates real burdens.
Moving right into part 2, defining the slop epidemic, from tech slang to corporate reality.
You know, to actually fix this problem, we first need to build a shared vocabulary. We really can't fix what we can't name. And the term slop, well, it actually started out as this in-group pejorative slang back in 2022 on tech forums like 4chan and Hacker News. This was right around the time those early image generators were dropping. Then, by May 2024, computer programmer Simon Willison really championed the term, and he pushed it into mainstream internet culture. But it didn't just stay a meme. Fast forward to January 2026, and a group of academics actually published a formal study on its properties. So it's a fascinating evolution, seeing how this snarky tech slang rapidly became a subject of serious academic and corporate study.
Get this, Merriam-Webster even picked slop as their 2025 word of the year. AI slop perfectly categorizes all this automated junk we're seeing. It's defined as digital content made with generative artificial intelligence that is perceived as lacking in effort, quality, or meaning, and it's produced in incredibly high volumes. Basically, it is the AI equivalent of email spam.
So researcher Cody Commerce and his academic colleagues really nailed this down in their 2026 paper. They gave us 3 core properties of slop, which act as a super powerful analytical lens to spot low-quality output. First up is superficial competence. This means it looks okay if you just glance at it, but it completely falls apart upon closer inspection. Second is asymmetric effort. It takes literally seconds to generate the stuff, but it requires an immense amount of human effort to actually verify or fix it. And finally, mass producibility. Anyone can just churn this stuff out at scale. You really want to keep these 3 properties in mind because they are exactly what's hurting your teams right now.
Okay, part 3, work slop and team inefficiency, the hidden cost of looking good.
Our data shows that this specific variation of slop has deeply infiltrated the corporate workplace. A recent study by the Harvard Business Review, which was done with Stanford University and BetterUp, officially coined the term work slop. They define it as AI-generated content that looks perfectly professional on the surface, but completely lacks substance. It's like that 10-page report an employee generated in 5 seconds, but now their colleague has to spend hours fact-checking and rewriting the whole thing.
And then we have its annoying cousin, trend slop. Trend slop is a parallel threat that the Harvard Business Review identified, where strategic depth is entirely replaced by these superficial, buzzword-heavy outputs. If you ask an AI for strategic advice and it just spits back a bunch of empty corporate jargon about, synergizing paradigms, well, that's trend slop, and it totally derails actual, reasoned problem solving.
So just how widespread is this? Well, the Harvard Business Review found that a staggering 40% of participating employees are now receiving this low-effort work slop from their own peers. 40%! That is almost half your workforce being handed automated junk disguised as completed work.
And here is where you see the real damage. It takes a colleague an average of 2 whole hours to resolve a single incident of work slop. Remember that academic property we just talked about, asymmetric effort? This is exactly it in action. One employee saves themselves 30 minutes by having an AI write a shoddy report, but they end up costing their colleague 2 hours of cleanup time. Ultimately, it's a massive net negative for your team's efficiency. Moving to part 4, security risks and shovelware, systemic failures across industries. This story about internal security shows you exactly how far the damage spreads.
Take Daniel Stenberg, the founder of the open-source utility curl. He actually had to shut down their bug bounty program on HackerOne entirely. And why? Because they were just completely overwhelmed by AI-generated false vulnerability reports. People were using AI to generate fake security bugs, literally referencing non-existent code and completely fake changelogs, just hoping to score a quick payout. His security team was wasting so much time investigating these AI hallucinations that they had to end the program just as an attempt to reduce the noise. It's a prime example of AI slop actively destroying a critical technical pipeline.
And this systemic failure goes way beyond just coding. Look at video games. Reports show 20% of Steam releases in 2025 were flagged as AI shovelware. Major studios faced massive player backlash, like Rovio, who actually had to pull a mobile game demo because players were so angry over the AI images. Or look at advertising. We saw these cynical AI-generated holiday campaigns from massive brands like Coca-Cola and McDonald's. And they faced widespread consumer pushback because they just felt soulless. Releasing slop doesn't just waste your internal time. It actively damages your brand's reputation with the public.
All right, part 5, evaluating AI output quality, separating automated junk from true utility. So how do we actually fix this? We have to get strategic about evaluating what we use. I want you to really contrast the superficial competence of WorkSlop against the true utility of positive AI implementation. Bad AI creates that asymmetric effort, meaning someone else has to clean it up. Good AI, true utility, provides a high return on investment. It integrates deeply into your existing workflows, and it massively reduces repetitive manual tasks without just pushing the burden onto another teammate.
For a solid benchmark of good AI, let's look back at the gaming industry for a second. Because yes, while there is shovelware, there is also some incredible true utility happening. According to industry data, one AAA studio needed 10,000 item icons and descriptions. Traditionally, that is a 6-month process. But by using generative AI tools trained specifically on their own proprietary art style and lore, they knocked it out in just 1 month. They saved 5 months of development time and $150,000, all while maintaining perfect quality control. Now that is true utility.
This brings us to the absolute core pivot question that every single manager needs to ask themselves and their teams before proving a new AI workflow. Does this AI output create more work than it saves? If a tool saves employee A 30 minutes, but it ends up costing employee B 2 hours of editing and fact-checking, the answer is yes. It creates more work than it saves, and it needs to be cut immediately. Finally, Part 6, Actionable Steps for Managers. Think of this as your playbook for high-value AI integration. So if you're a manager, here are 4 diagnostic steps you can take right now to weed out the tools that are secretly draining your team's productivity. Step 1, audit what is currently being produced. Does it actually have substance? Step 2, start tracking resolution time. If your colleagues are spending hours fixing AI errors, you definitely have a work slot problem. Step 3, identify instances of asymmetric effort in team collaboration. Look out for situations where one person's shortcut becomes another person's roadblock. And Step 4, establish true utility benchmarks. Like that AAA game studio example, look for measurable, verifiable hours and dollars saved across the entire team, not just a perceived shortcut for one individual. To really shield your professional teams from this influx of shovelware, you need to set some hard rules. First, outright ban the use of unverified AI for critical technical reporting. We all need to learn from that curl bug bounty disaster. Hallucinations are a huge security risk. Second, flat out reject outputs that rely on trend slop. If a report is just buzzy corporate jargon, send it right back. Third, require new AI implementations to prove a 70 to 90% reduction in baseline manual effort. The best tools in gaming hit those numbers, so demand similar ROI for your enterprise tools. And finally, you have to shift the focus from the volume of content produced to the accuracy of the output. Because producing 100 bad reports is infinitely worse than producing one excellent human-verified report. I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought to help guide your future AI strategies and ensure you're prioritizing authentic value over automated junk. Take a hard look at your current workflows and ask your teams, are we building a culture of true efficiency or just a culture of asymmetric effort? Are we truly moving faster together, or are we just generating slop that somebody else has to clean up? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Start having these conversations with your teams today, and let's get back to true, meaningful productivity.